360 doctrine.
Might drop the knowledge.
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 And our ancestors saw, in order for the king to rule the throne, like you have Ursamat right here, the goddess Seshat. Here you see her in the tree of divine wisdom, giving the fruit of divine knowledge and wisdom in order for him to rule the throne. It had nothing to do with no tree of good and evil. The patriarchs who came from the north, the Hyksos and others, who had a misogynistic nature, a hatred towards the woman, could not conceive of a woman nor a goddess giving a man anything. And that story was corrupted. The tree of divine wisdom and divine life was corrupted into the tree of what? Because here we have that they created in their biblical stories in the opening of the pages in Genesis that there was Adam and Eve, is that right? And they were not to eat of the tree of what? Knowledge of what? Good and evil. Now who was seduced by the serpent and ate from the tree? That's why, sisters, you got to watch and hear that sound. Psst. But anyway, here we see that she was seduced to eat the fruit, and then she seduced who? Adam. Now we are told that that's the reason for the world's sins of this first woman eating of the tree of good and evil, and that that's also not only the reason for the world's sins, but her monthly cycle is to remind her of that sin. This is what's taught in the church. Okay? Now,
and in this presentation, I will bring forth the origin of the Adam and Eve story. Okay? The origin of the Adam and Eve story. So I want to get on and get deep into it, all right? First, we need to understand Atum. Where did the word come from and how did it come to be? So we have Atum, A-T-U-M, Atum, which was a Kemetic deity or Egyptian deity, which dates back to 4,000 before Common Era, which created himself from dust. So you have Atum, it dates back 4,000 before Common Era, which created himself from dust. So when we're talking about modern day science, okay, you have the basic foundation of matter and life, the atom, all right, the atom in science, the basic foundation of matter and life. So when you're talking about creating man, you're creating him from dust, you're talking about the basic foundation of matter and life, okay? So in the religion, you have Adam. So when we speak about in the Hebrew Bible, religion, it dates back to 500 to 700 before Common Era, which speaks about man has been formed from the ground, or from the earth, or from the clay, or the mud, etc. So, you see the connection between Atum, and Adam. So, I want to make that connection first so we can understand who is Atum and where did his thought come from in the story in the Bible, and how do it comes together. So Atum, which created himself from dust. Okay, Atum, Adam. Since we understand that now. Alright. Now, let's do the math on the time frame when they speaks about in the Bible. In the Bible, they say the earth supposedly being created 6,000 years ago and had 4 men around in that time. 6,000 years ago. Well, scientists states that 4.5 to 4.6 billion years ago that the solar system was a cloud of dust and gas known as a solar nebula, okay? Which it began to spin and forming the sun in the center of the nebula, which rides the sun with the remaining material began to clump up, etc. So, if the earth supposed to be created 6,000 years ago and you had scientists who states as facts that the earth dates back of its creation in 4.5 billion years ago, what is the accuracy of what the Bible was speaking about? How could this be if the scientists stating that it's 4.5 to 4.6 billion years ago, but the Bible is saying 6,000 years ago? Do you see the math? The accuracy is not even close. 6,000 years to 4.5 billion years ago. Okay? We need to understand that. So right there, there's this clear connection that what the Bible is speaking about is very inaccurate. All right? Moving right along. So we want to know how did this come into play? All right? Now, about this Bible and where these stories come from. You know, who put these stories together? Well, first we need to understand the Sahedrin. If we don't understand the Sahedrin, when we do the etymology on the word Sahedrin, in the combination of two Greek words, it means seated together. There were ruling bodies of 70 to 72 members with the high priest as the chief officer. And the Sahedrin, these people were Greek people who came together and came up with these stories in the Bible. They were the Sahedrin. Okay? Since we understand who the Sahedrin now. Now, what stories of the Bible did they come into first? Well, many people don't know that the first Bible was the Septuagint, which dates back to 500 to 700 before Common Era. Now, when we talk about the Septuagint, okay, and we do the etymology on the word Septuagint, all right, it means interpreters, 70 interpreters. So you got Septuagint, Septim, which means 7. Then you got Gentile, means 10 to 10 times. So that's how you get 70. So you basically got 70 interpreters. So when you connect that together with the Sahedrin, which means seated together, the ruling bodies of 70 to 72 members with the high priest as the chief officer, etc. So you got the Sahedrin, which was the connection of putting these stories together in the Septuagint. Alright? So now we understand who put this together. The Sahedrin, the Greek Sahedrin people. Now, let's make this connection. If man was created 6,000 years ago, okay, well, you have scientists in the early 1900s discover a fossil which they call Lucy. Alright? A human out of Africa which traced back to 3.2 to 3.6 million years ago. And these are the skeletal remains that they discover. Well, what makes sense? If that made sense, that man was created 6,000 years ago, why do you have a scientist in the early 1900s who discovered the bone called Lucy, what they call Lucy, which traced back to 3.2 to 3.6 million years ago? But the Bible is speaking that, you know, that man is supposed to be created around the time of 6,000 years ago. Did you see the connection? The accuracy, the math is not even close. So moving right along. Now, let's get into this. What about the serpent? Who is this serpent that was in the garden? Now, the serpent that it speaks in the Bible, it say, now the serpent was more crafty than any other wild animals that the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, did God really say, you must not eat from any tree in the garden? The woman said to the serpent, we may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say you must not eat the fruit from the tree that's in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you would die. Then it say, you will not certainly die. The serpent said to the woman, for God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. So what it's talking about? We want to get into detail when they're talking about the serpent and the snake. The serpent and the snake, and that why will Eve, when she eat the apple, eat the fruit, her eyes are open and knowing good and evil? Why? Well, we need to understand the polarity shift. Okay, who is the serpent? Who is the serpent? The serpent in Kemetic stories of the Egyptians, it represents the Uraeus or the serpent crown. Okay, you had the Uraeus, which represents the serpent crown. Why is they wearing the serpent snake on top of their forehead? Because what it denotes this, the pineal gland, which represents the symbolic thought of the eye of Haru or the eye of Horus. The pineal gland is the activation of the Kundalini energy. What is the Kundalini energy? When the word Kundalini is derived from the word in Sanskrit word mean kadal, mean to coil up, spiral like a snake or the serpent. It is the energy that's present, okay, which coils at the base of your spine in a triangular bone, at the triangular bone called the sacrum, which activates that energy, which spirals like a snake, as you can see, which they refer to this as the double helix. Same as your DNA. If you look at your DNA and you look at the double helix of how the Kundalini energy is activated, it activates that from the base of your spine to your pineal gland. And that's why the serpent or the snake is referred to the Kundalini energy. And that's what they're talking about in the connection of the Adam and Eve story, of dealing with the two polarity of two coming together. We can get into the polarity a little bit later. Now, it said when the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable or gaining wisdom, she had took some and ate it, and she gave some to her husband, and he ate some too, and they both eyes was open. Okay, so when he's saying that both eyes was open, knowing good and evil, they know both sides of the world. They know good, they know evil. You know, the good and bad. Okay, they know positive, negative. It's two sides. It's the polarity. Okay, and they say speaks about a desirable or gaining wisdom. When you is conscious, you have high wisdom. You is aware now. That's what it's speaking about. So when you talk about the serpent crown, you talk about those who have high wisdom, who is conscious, who is aware. That's why it was desirable for you to eat the fruit. Because the serpent is representation of your consciousness. Now you know both sides because you was aware. Now you was connected to nature, to the universe, the all in all. So now let's get to the principle of polarity. Everything is dual, everything has its pole, everything has its pair or opposites. Like and unlikes are the same. The opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Thus the extreme meets all truth or but half truths, or paradoxes and maybe ridicule. Now, what are they talking about with the polarity? Let's keep it simple. Here you see the yang and the yin symbol. What is representing? Masculine energy, feminine energy. The yang, the yin. You got positive, you got negative. You got the sun, you got the moon. You got light, you got dark. You got heaven, you got earth. You got active, you got passive. You got fire, you got water. You got above, you got below. You got heat, you got cold. You got generation, you got growth. Okay? Now, what you got Adam, you got Eve. You got masculine, you got feminine. Okay? So when Adam and Eve come together, which you got your masculine energy and your feminine energy coming together to create balance or life. And the serpent is your conscious. So you putting them two together, you get your trinity, which connects to your trinity, which creates balance or life. Understanding your consciousness. Okay? So you saying the serpent, you saying you're conscious. Alright? So Adam and Eve come together, are dealing with the polarity of connecting together to create one, a life, to create balance. So we need this. That's the polarity, principle of polarity, which come out the 7 hermetic principles. Okay? Now, where did the story of eating the apple come from? And what did it represent of the apple? Well, the origin of this come from the kemetic deity Seshat. Okay? This kemetic deity Seshat, what she was doing, it was the thought of what the kemetic deities was expressing that in the tree of divine wisdom, in order for the king to rule the throne, he had to be given the fruit of divine knowledge and wisdom. That's the symbolic thought where they plagiarized that story into the Hebrew Bible, such as the Torah, the Septuagint, King James Version, etc. This is where it comes from. Come out of Egypt. Ancient Kemet, ancient Kemet. Okay? So Seshat, she was the Egyptian deity who gave the apple to the king. In order for the king to rule the throne, he had to be given the fruit of divine knowledge and wisdom. Okay? Now, the part of the Bible when they talk about sin, when the word sin comes out the Sumerian Tablets, okay? And the word sin was replaced by, they had two different deities. You had the moon deity, which represent the masculine, and the female deity, which represent the feminine. But during that time, in Sumerian, it was the daughter Ishtar, which overshadowed all the other female deities, and they decided to replace the moon as the feminine form of the deity, or the feminine. And the reason for that, because it made more sense to use the woman at high regard as being in tune with the woman. Why was that? Well, let's understand the moon, okay? When we're speaking about the moon, well, the moon has 13 cycles a year, which is the average of 28 days of the month. So if you take 13 times 28 equals 364 days, not 365. The woman is in tune with the moon of their 13 menstruation cycles of the year on this natural vibration connected with nature. In ancient culture, it was a symbol of fertility, which represented that the woman was fertile and tuned with the 13 cycles of the moon to bring life. So, in the Bible now, when they speak of Eve had sinned, it is dealing with being fertile to bring life. So if the word sin denoted the moon, and the moon denoted the woman, and the woman brings birth and life, it makes a lot of sense when we we all sin. Because as humans, we come out the womb of the woman. And the word sin denotes the moon. Sin denotes the moon, and the moon denoted the woman. And the woman brings birth and life. It makes a lot of sense. So in the Bible, we say we had sin because we come from a woman. So now, let's look here. They say in the Bible, right? Okay, that man was created 6,000 years ago, and man was first. But it wouldn't make no sense, because in nature, when we're talking about nature, nature creates something that's complete. So it makes no sense for man to be first in creation and not be complete. As we see, if we look at the 2X chromosomes right here in the DNA of the female human being, these are the 2X chromosomes. As you can see, they are complete, which represents the woman. As you look at the X and Y chromosome, we understand that in the male, in the man, it's not complete. So you got 2X chromosomes, which is the complete human being, which is the woman, and you have the X and Y chromosome, which is the incomplete human being, which is the man. So if man was first one, nature does not make mistakes. Man make mistakes, nature don't make mistakes. Okay? So the woman is the complete human being, and the male is the incomplete human being, for necessary reason for the creation of masculine and feminine energy. Okay? But we need to understand that the woman was created first and not the man. And that's why these stories in the Bible need to be corrected and put back in the proper perspective. Okay? So we need to understand these things. Understand that sin denotes the moon, and the moon denotes the woman, and the woman brings life. So when we say that you have sinned, we all have sinned, because we come from the womb of the woman. So Seshat, given the fruit of divine wisdom in order for the king to rule the throne. He had to be given the fruit of divine knowledge and wisdom. As you know, the yang and the yin, understanding the principles of polarity, the masculine energy and the feminine energy. You have Adam, you have Eve. The serpent represents your conscience, coming together to create balance of life, which connects to your trinity. Understanding the Kundalini energy, which is activated from the base of your spine, which is your pineal gland, which represents the serpent or the Uranus, and ancient Kemet, and representing the double helix, which also results into the same structure of the spiral of your DNA. The serpent, Kundalini energy, means to coil, to spiral, the activation of the Kundalini energy. And this is what it's all detailing. This is what it's speaking about. Principles, understanding these things. So I want to wrap this up from Atum to Atum to Atum. We now know where these stories come from and understanding what it is. So, peace, love, and blessings, my people. The origin of Adam and the Eve story. Bless, bless.